Okay, osmosis is a special type of diffusion. Why it is considered as a special type of diffusion? Solvent molecules are moving across the semi-permeable membrane. Only solvent molecules. So solvent molecules will move across the semi-permeable membrane. It is called a special type of diffusion, which is called as osmosis. And the osmosis is always considered to be as a special type of diffusion where solvent molecules are moving from its higher concentrated region to its lower concentrated region. And basically, these semi-permeable membranes allows only solvent molecules to pass through, but not the solute. That's why when two solutions are separated or a solvent and a solution is separated, only solvent molecules will move from its higher concentrated region to its lower concentrated region. And basically we can see what are the semi-permeable membranes in the plant cell. They are cell membrane and the tonoplast. Tonoplast means it is a membrane bounding the vacuole. Then in animal, urinary bladder of sheep, egg membrane, they are also considered to be as a semi-permeable membranes. Now, if we consider this phenomenon of osmosis with this diagram illustration, where osmotic phenomenon was for the first time studied by Abbe Nollet in 1748. And what actually osmosis phenomenon defines? Simply I will explain here. When the two solutions, for example, you can see there are two solutions. One is higher concentrated solution and this is a lower concentrated solution. When the two solutions of different concentrations are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, then solvent molecule move from its higher concentrated region to its lower concentrated region. You can see this arrow mark, the direction of movement of a solvent. So thereby, solvent molecules will move from its higher concentrated region to lower concentrated region. As it is a semi-permeable membrane, only solvent molecules can move, but not the solute molecules. So that's why osmosis is defined as it is a special type of diffusion where solvent molecules move from the region of its higher concentration to the region of its lower concentration across a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, that is what the definition that we can observe. Now also we have discussed that it's an endosmosis. What is endosmosis? Entry of water into the system or entry of water into the cell through semi-permeable membrane when it is placed in hypotonic solution. What is that hypotonic solution? Hypotonic solution means a solution concentration which is lesser than the cell sap. So when you are placing a cell in a particular solution, if the solution concentration is lesser than the cell sap, then it is called as hypotonic. Hypertonic. A cell is placed in a solution with a higher concentration than the cell sap. Higher concentration than the cell sap, then it is called as hypertonic. Isotonic means a solution concentration which is equal to cell sap. So thus, the endosmosis can occur when a cell or a tissue is placed in a solution of lower concentration than the cell sap. Then there is an entry of water into the cell, into the system. That is called as endosmosis. Example, if you place this dry resins in water, after due course of time, you can able to observe this grape will swell. And this swelling is due to endosmosis. Water enters into the system. So how it is defined endosmosis? When water or a solvent molecules enter into the cell or into the system through semi-permeable membrane or plasma membrane, by osmosis from outer medium is called as endosmosis. Similarly, the another term, exosmosis, it is a reversal. Means when the cell is placed in hypertonic solution, water molecules will move out of the cell or move out of the system. Then it is called as exosmosis. How do you understand the exosmotic phenomenon? You are placing the grapes, fresh grapes in hypertonic solution. Then the water from the grapes moves out of this tissues and thereby the fruit shrinks. The entire grapefruit shrinks, and that is because of exosmosis. Then osmotic pressure. What is that osmotic pressure? It is also term. It is also a term expressed used to express the concentration of the solution, like dPd. In the dPd, we know that solution is compared with its solvent. Thereby, dPd value is expressed. Similarly, osmotic pressure. And you know that osmotic phenomenon occurs when a solvent is separated from its solu- solution. Sorry, when a solution is separated from its solvent by a semi-permeable membrane. There the osmotic phenomenon occurs. Osmotic phenomenon otherwise not doesn't occur. If a solution is separated from its solution by a semi-permeable membrane, then only osmotic phenomenon occurs. And during the osmotic phenomenon, the pressure is exerted by this solution. Pressure is exerted by solution, and that pressure is called as osmotic pressure. So now, what is that osmotic pressure? The pressure developed in the solution when it is separated from its pure solvent by a semi-permeable membrane is known as osmotic pressure, or extra pressure required to prevent the entry of water through the semi-permeable membrane. That is called as osmotic pressure. So now go through this, for example, diagram once again. Just imagine this is a pure solvent. Okay, this is not a solution. Consider this is a pure solvent, and this is the solution. Solution is separated from the solvent by a semi-permeable membrane. Then what happens? Osmotic phenomenon occurs. And why the osmotic phenomenon occurs? Because the solution is creating that osmotic pressure. Solution is creating a osmotic pressure by which it is sucking the water molecules, solvent molecules, and thereby pressure developed in the solution when it is separated by its solvent by a semi-permeable membrane is called as osmotic pressure. And other definition I told you, pressure necessary to prevent the phenomenon of osmosis, that is osmotic pressure. So now imagine this water is moving, the solvent molecules are moving in this direction. You have to prevent it. Entry has to be prevented. How? Apply the pressure from the top here. Apply the pressure from the top here, and some pressure you needed, and because of that pressure this water cannot enter into the system. That is pressure necessary to prevent the phenomenon of osmosis, that is called as osmotic pressure. Okay, understood the terminology, how the osmotic pressure is expressed. And this osmotic pressure is also called as a suction pressure. Why it is called as suction pressure? Because it is sucking the water from the solvent. So thereby what happens? Higher the concentration, remember that, higher the concentration of the solution, osmotic pressure value is more. Because with the increased concentration, with a greater force, water is pulled, solvent is pulled. So thereby higher the concentration, higher the osmotic pressure value, and lower the concentration, lesser the osmotic pressure value. So that is what osmotic pressure. Now let us discuss about the hypertonic solution and all we have discussed. This is a cell placed in hypertonic solution. Then what happens? Water moves out of the cell, that is exosmosis. If you place in hypotonic solution, then water enters into the system, and that is endosmosis. And by endosmosis, the cell enters into flaccidity, and exosmosis, the cell enters into flaccidity. So now let us discuss about plasmolysis, another term. What is plasmolysis? Move back to this diagram once again. Now look at this. This is the normal cell placed in isotonic solution. And you can see this is the vacuole filled with water. You can see the blue color filled with water. And this is the cytoplasm. The yellow colored is cytoplasm. Is bounded by the cell membrane. And outer to the cell membrane, we can see the cell wall. Always remember, the cell membrane is elastic, flexible, but cell wall is rigid and hard, which cannot stretch. Cell membrane can stretch under the pressure, but cell wall is not. So now this cell, a normal cell, from the isotonic solution is placed in hypertonic solution. Placed in hypertonic solution. Look at the diagram, okay? Hypertonic solution. Now what happens? The vacuole which was filled with water, it will move out. Exosmosis occurs. Why? Because the cell sap present in the vacuole is higher concentrated than the water present outside. Sorry, lower concentrated than the water present outside. Hypertonic solution. So concentration of the cell sap in the vacuole is lesser than the water present outside. So thereby water from this moves out. Thereby what happens? Volume of this vacuole decreases. Volume of the vacuole decreases. Vacuole is bounded by the tonoplast, which is also semi-permeable membrane. And thereby entire vacuole shrinks. And this cytoplasm or the protoplasm also shrinks. You can see in this diagram. Because of exosmosis, as the cell is placed in hypertonic solution, the vacuole and the protoplasm shrinks. You can see that. And this shrinkage of protoplasm due to exosmosis is called as phenomenon of plasmolysis. Shrinkage of protoplasm due to exosmosis is called as plasmolysis, and the cell is called as plasmolysed cell. That cell is called as a plasmolysed cell. So thereby you can see the process of shrinkage of protoplast due to the exosmosis is called as plasmolysis, and the cell is said to be plasmolysed, or the cell is called as a flaccid cell. Now in the flaccid cell, turgor pressure and wall pressure is zero. Turgor pressure and wall pressure is zero. What is mean by this turgor pressure? Now look at this cell, and this is vacuole. This is vacuole. Is it visible? Visible, no? Diagram is visible, no? Okay, you can just stretch the screen, and thereby you can increase the size of the diagram. Okay, understand my point? In mobile, you can just stretch the screen. Means that diagram. Okay, so now you can see this is the vacuole. You can see colorless fluid that is filled with cell sap. This is filled with cell sap. Now the same cell is placed in hypotonic solution. Understanding my point? Hypotonic solution. The solution concentration outside the cell is lesser than the cell sap. Then what happens? Endosmosis occurs. or if you place a cell in water, then naturally endosmosis occurs. By endosmosis, what happens? Water enters into the vacuole. Cell sap concentration goes on decreasing. Remember that. As the water is entering into the cell sap vacuole, cell sap concentration goes on increasing. Sorry, decreasing. Cell sap concentration goes on decreasing. Volume of this vacuole increases. Volume of the vacuole increases. And then what happens? Protoplasm is also pushed towards the periphery. Entire protoplasm along with this plasma membrane is pushed towards the very periphery. Then what is happening? You can see in this diagram. This is hypotonic solution. Now there is no gap between the cell wall and the cell membrane. You can see that there is no space between the cell wall and the cell membrane because the protoplasm is pushed outside. But here you can see there is a large gap between the cell wall. This is the cell wall and this is the cell membrane. There is a space because protoplasm has shrunk in hypertonic solution. But protoplasm is expanded in a hypotonic solution. Thereby what happens? As the protoplasm expands, a certain kind of pressure is exerted in the outward direction. You can see that. You can imagine that. If you are not following, just ask me to clarify, okay? So as there is a endosmosis, because of the increased volume of the protoplasm, there is a kind of pressure exerted in the outward direction. And this pressure is called as Turgor pressure. TP, it is abbreviated as a TP. It is in the outward direction. You see the arrow, it has been shown. Turgor pressure in the outward direction. Where the Turgor pressure is applied? Turgor pressure is applied over the cell wall. Turgor pressure is applied over the cell wall. Why this Turgor pressure is applied? Because of endosmosis, there is expansion of the protoplasm and the plasma membrane also stretches because of its elasticity property. But cell wall is rigid. It's hard. It cannot stretch. That's why when there is a maximum Turgor pressure, we can able to observe there is a pressure in the opposite direction, that is called as wall pressure. So at the maximum Turgor pressure value, wall is also exerting a pressure on the inner side, that is called as wall pressure. And also you can see osmotic pressure. We have seen already osmotic pressure. What is that osmotic pressure? Pressure created by the solution present in this vacuum by after separating it from a solvent. That's why osmotic pressure is in the inward direction. Turgor pressure is in outward direction. Wall pressure is in the inward direction. I hope you have understood this. Okay, thereby in a flaccid cell, Turgor pressure and wall pressure is zero. I hope understood why it is. So now this is plasmolized cell. Now we can see cell membrane or the plasma membrane is not coming in contact with the cell wall. There is no Turgor pressure. When the Turgor pressure operates, when the protoplasm expands. So in this turgid cell, there is a pressure. Because of turgidity, pressure is exerted on the wall. That is called as Turgor pressure. But Turgor pressure value is more in turgid cell. Turgor pressure value is zero in flaccid cell, in a plasmolized cell. And as the Turgor pressure value is zero, naturally wall pressure is also zero. Okay. So thereby we can say in a flaccid cell, in a plasmolized cell, Turgor pressure and the wall pressure is zero. Okay. Diffusion pressure of a water is low in the cell sap. Why? Because cell is plasmolized. Water moved out of the vacuole. cell sap concentration increases because of the loss of water, and thereby diffusion pressure of water is low in the cell sap in a plasmonizer cell. So thereby what happens? DPD value and osmotic pressure value becomes high in the cell sap. Already I told you in the beginning, higher the concentration of the solution, osmotic pressure is more. And same case with the DPD, because DPD is also expressed by comparing a solution with its solvent. Thereby solution concentration is more, then naturally we can expect the DPD value is also more. I hope you have understood these terminologies. That is diffusion pressure deficit, osmosis, osmotic pressure, turgid cell and flaccid cell. And also turgor pressure, wall pressure. Okay. So this is what the phenomenon of plasmolysis. Then what is the importance of plasmolysis? What is the significance of plasmolysis? It is used to know the living nature of the cell. Used to know the living nature of the cell. How? If the cell is living, it is having a living protoplasm, it is having a cell sap, it is having a plasma membrane which are living. Then only this plasmolysis can occur, not in a dead cell. That's why plasmolysis is useful. And determine the osmotic pressure of the cells. So any cell or any tissue, the osmotic pressure of the cell is determined by using this plasmolytic phenomenon. Osmotic pressure of the cells means what? The osmotic pressure of a cell sap present in the vacuole. That is nothing but the osmotic pressure of the cells. And it is determined by the plasmolysis. So how it is determined, you can understand by having a practicals in the examination. Just remember, in the practicals in the regular practical classes, and thereby you can understand how the osmotic pressure value of a cells or a tissues is determined by using the plasmolytic phenomenon. Okay. Then the basic concept the people know, that is salting of fish and meat. Why the salting is done to the fish and meat? Just to kill the bacteria and fungus. Because the bacteria and fungus are killed by plasmolysis. So that's why salting is done to the fish and meat. And also you know that while making the pickles, the tender mango is placed in a salt. Then it shrinks. You know that tender mango shrinks. You have seen that. And that is because of plasmolysis, where water content of this mango tissue is brought out. That is the concept behind this placing in a salt, because you have to preserve the pickle for a long. So that's why you have to remove the water from the tissues. That is, you are undergoing the phenomenon of plasmolysis in that. And then we can able to observe the phenomenon proves that the plasmolytic phenomenon proves that plasma membrane is a semi-permeable membrane. That's why there is chance for exosmosis. And also this plasmolysis is useful in controlling the weeds and grasses, particularly in the clay coats of tennis. You have seen that clay coats, and where the grasses are not allowed to grow on it. How do they control? They sprinkle this salt or salt water. Thereby what happens? Those weeds and grasses tissues are plasmolyzed, and the weeds and grasses are killed. They are not allowed to grow. So that is what the plasmolysis is useful. Then deplasmolysis. This is reversal of plasmolysis. In plasmolysis, what happens? There is a exosmosis, results in the shrinkage of protoplasm. But when this plasmolyzed cell or flaccid cell is placed in pure water, or it is placed in a hypotonic solution, then what happens? Endosmosis occurs. And the cell regains the normal shape. So you can see this. This is the plasmolyzed flaccid cell placed in hypotonic solution. Then cell regains the normal structure, normal shape. That is what called as deplasmolysis. What is this deplasmosis? Deplasmolysis. This is a process of restoring the turgid condition due to endosmosis is called as deplasmolysis. And the cell is said to be deplasmolized, or the cell is said to be turgid. Turgid. Okay, that is what deplasmolysis. So during deplasmolysis, what happens? Endosmosis occurs, turgor pressure value goes on increasing, and simultaneously wall pressure also increasing. So that is how turgor pressure value and wall pressure values are correlated. Then we can able to observe the cell is considered to be in an incipient plasmolysis. What is that incipient plasmolysis? The stage at which the protoplasm slightly separates from the cell wall. So in a fully turgid cell, what happens? Cell wall comes in attached with the cell wall. Cell membrane comes in attached with the cell wall. So now plasmolysis as begins. The cell membrane slightly leaves the cell wall, separates from the cell wall, and that stage is called as an incipient plasmolysis. Okay, we have already discussed the turgor pressure. Turgor pressure, the pressure responsible for pushing the plasma membrane against the cell wall. Okay, so turgor pressure is responsible for pushing the plasma membrane against the cell wall. Is called as a turgor pressure. Why the turgor pressure operates? Turgor pressure because of turgidity of the cell. Turgor pressure because of endosmosis. And this turgor pressure value is maximum in a fully turgid cell. That is, we have to remember. In a fully turgid cell, the maximum turgor pressure value is seen. But turgor pressure value is minimum, or turgor pressure value is zero in a flaccid cell. We have understood this. Flaccid cell will have a zero turgor pressure value, and the maximum turgor pressure value is in the turgid cell. Okay, so where we can able to observe, this is plasmolized cell, and this is turgid cell, and it is arrow mark is shown because there is a maximum turgor pressure here. But in this cell, turgor pressure value is not there, zero. So that's why we can see this is the cell wall and this is the cell membrane. There is a space gap. Okay. Now coming to wall pressure. Already we have seen that wall pressure. What is wall pressure? The pressure exerted by the wall against the turgor pressure is called as a wall pressure. Pressure exerted by the wall against the turgor pressure is called as a wall pressure. Why this wall pressure helps in? Wall pressure helps in preventing the bursting of the cells during endosmosis. That is the advantage of cell wall presence. So now, just imagine where the turgor pressure operates. Turgor pressure always operates in the closed system. Remember that. In a closed system, always the turgor pressure operates, but not in the open system. I hope you have understood what's meant by that. For example, consider this cell again, once again. Consider this cell. I told you there is a turgor pressure operation when you are placing this cell in a hypotonic solution. But consider if, for example, it is a system which is having a open here. It is not a cell, it is a system. Means this is considered as a container with a plasma membrane, and it is having a solution, and outside there is a water. Endosmosis occurs. Then what happens? Level of water increases in this direction because it is open system. But there is no chance for turgor pressure to operate. So thereby we can able to observe the turgor pressure operates here in the cell because it is a closed system. That's why cell is also considered as an osmometer. Closed system which is there, and thereby we can see the operation of the turgor pressure. So turgor pressure and wall pressure can occur only in a closed system like cell, but not in an open system. So now coming to the situation. When a turgor pressure is equal and opposite to the wall pressure, then cell is said to be turgid. Okay, now we have to understand when the cell is in turgid condition. When the turgor pressure value becomes equals to wall pressure. Okay, at one stage you can imagine as protoplasm expands, plasma membrane is stretched, comes in contact with the cell wall, and as it is contact with the cell wall, wall pressure operates. And at one stage you can imagine turgor pressure value becomes to wall pressure, and that stage is called as a turgid stage. But you have to remember, even the turgid cell is placed in hypotonic solution, even turgid cell is placed in water, further endosmosis is not possible. Further entry of water into the cell is not possible because there is no space inside. There is a maximum turgor pressure and also maximum wall pressure, and that is called as a turgid cell. So now you can able to observe in a fully turgid cell, dPd value becomes 0. Cell means in the cell side. dPd value becomes 0. And wall pressure and the turgor pressure equals to osmotic pressure. Understood? So osmotic pressure value equals to turgor pressure and it is equals to wall pressure. So that's why dPd value of the cell side in a turgid cell is equal to osmotic pressure minus turgor pressure. So now coming to this, I told you how the dPd value is expressed. dPd value is expressed by comparing to its solvent. The solution is compared with its solvent, isn't it? That is the dPd value. Osmotic pressure value, how operates in a solution? Osmotic pressure value operates in the solution when it is separated from the solvent. Okay, thereby if you take a beaker containing any solution, salt solution or sugar solution of the same concentration, dPd value and osmotic pressure values are same. Understood my point? I hope you have understood that. But in a cell, it is a closed system, I told you. In a closed system, there is operation of a turgor pressure. Operation of a turgor pressure. Turgor pressure value is in outward direction. Osmotic pressure value is in inward direction. That's why osmotic pressure value cannot be equal to diffusion pressure dPd value in a cell, in a turgid cell, sorry. I hope you are following it. That's why to consider the osmotic pressure value of a cell sap, you have to consider the turgor pressure value. Turgor pressure value is in outward direction, but osmotic pressure value is in a inward direction. That's why dPd value in a turgid cell is always equals to osmotic pressure minus turgor pressure. Understood? Now what happens? dPd value in a turgid cell becomes 0. Is it not? It becomes 0. That's why osmotic pressure minus turgor pressure or osmotic pressure value also becomes equals to turgor pressure. So turgid cell you can able to observe osmotic pressure value is equal to turgor pressure, which is also equals to wall pressure. Understood? But coming to in flaccid cell, where you can able to observe dPd is maximum because there is exosmosis. Cell sap contains a higher concentrated solution now, because that's why DPD is maximum. But in a flaccid cell, turgor pressure is zero. Therefore, DPD becomes equals to osmotic pressure. So in the beginning only I told you, a solution in the beaker will show equal value, DPD value and osmotic pressure value as the same. Because there is no turgor pressure. In flaccid cell also there is no turgor pressure. That's why DPD value becomes equals to osmotic pressure. I hope you have understood this concept. Okay. If you are not followed, you can ask me for that. Okay. Then coming to significance of osmosis. What is the importance of osmosis? So absorption of water from the soil through the root hair is by osmosis. While discussing the diffusion, I told you the first step in the absorption of water is by imbibition. That is, cell wall is absorbing the water by imbibition. But later, that water has to enter into the cell of root hair, and that entry is possible by this osmotic phenomenon. And also later, when the water is absorbed by the root hair, the water has to move from cell to cell, and the water is to be distributed in the different parts of the plant, and that is also by osmosis. Then osmosis helps in maintaining the shape and turgidity. And one important aspect I forgot on that to tell, you know that turgid cell is getting the maximum strength. You can imagine that because turgor pressure value is maximum, wall pressure value is also maximum. But flaccid cell, there is no turgor pressure. Protoplasm is shrink. Thereby, the strength is very poor in a flaccid cell, but strength is maximum in a turgid cell. And when there is a maximum turgidity, we can able to observe, as in this diagram, this is the turgid cell getting this proper shape, but this is the flaccid cell which is not getting a proper shape. So thereby flaccid cells are poor in strength compared to turgid cell. Then opening and closing of stomata is by osmotic phenomenon. You know that stomata will enclose a guard cells, and the guard cells will responsible for opening and closing of stomata. And the movement of the guard cells is controlled by the osmotic phenomenon. And you will study that, how this osmotic phenomenon controls the opening and closing of stomata in the later classes. Osmotic pressure and the turgor pressure helps in the growth of the young cells. How? Meristematic tissue, they always tries to maintain the turgidity. And under turgid condition, what happens? The cells are in a stretched state because there is a pressure in the outward direction. The cells are in a always stretching stage. And because of maintaining the stretched condition, the cells able to grow. Because during the growth, you know that the cell will divide into two daughter cells. After division, that daughter cells has to elongate, and that elongation or stretching of the cell is possible if the cells are in a turgid condition. Then higher osmotic concentration in the plants increases the resistance against the freezing temperature and dehydration. So this is during the freezing temperatures. In a freezing temperature, the tissues maybe get damaged, but that has been avoided by higher osmotic concentration in the plant cells. Then we can able to observe. Next is osmotic pressure is basically responsible for the creation of the turgor pressure in the root xylem. Okay, roots as showing the increased water by absorption, there is an operation of a turgor pressure, and the turgor pressure is created by this osmotic pressure. Means the root cells, if having a maximum osmotic pressure, more and more water is absorbed by the root from the soil, turgor pressure increases in the root system. And this positive hydrostatic pressure developed in the root is called as root pressure. Okay, this positive hydrostatic pressure developed in the root is called as a root pressure, and this root pressure responsible for pushing the water in the upward direction to some height, and that thereby we can able to observe water is pushed because of this root pressure because of the turgor pressure developed in the root xylem, and the turgor pressure is developed in the root xylem because of maximum osmotic pressure in the root cells. So this is what the phenomenon of osmosis and its importance, and you have to remember all those terminologies in the diffusion as well as in the osmosis.